And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Live, Laugh, Lift podcast. Garry is back. We're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff today. I will say we are not going to be talking about the College Football National Championship because we're recording this a little earlier than originally intended, so that hasn't happened yet. We'll talk about it next week. Don't worry. But we have some other stuff to talk about. NFL playoff action. We did a little trip, us two, along with the rest of the group. We'll talk about that. There's been some other action going on too that we'll cover. But first, as always, we start off with a little bit of trivia. Today, Garry is going to be telling me the trivia because I couldn't think of any other trivia for today. So,
let me get it up here real quick, because let me tell you, I was sleeping during this, or while I was waiting for Tyler, so. One second here.
Sleeping on the job, SMH.
Wikipedia, there it is. So, this is for the Kalamazoo Wings, okay?
Oh,
in the 51 years of the Kalamazoo Wings, how many Colonial Cups do they have?
I'm gonna go with 6 or 7.
Well, you're wrong. They only have one total. From 2005 and 2006 season, they got the Colonial Cup, and just a heads up, they have never won the Kelly Cup. So, yep.
Damn. Shucks. I was so close. Oh well. Alright. So we'll start with football stuff today. There's a good amount of football news to go over with playoff action and a lot of coaching changes as well. We'll go over the playoff action real quick for the divisional round. So the Broncos upset the Bills in overtime off a controversial call that should have probably been a catch in favor of the Bills, ended up turning into an interception in favor of the Broncos. And the Broncos were able to drive down the field and win on a walk-off field goal 33-30. So they are advancing to the AFC Championship, where they will host the AFC Championship at the expense of the fact they are probably going to get their ass beat because Bo Nix broke his ankle and it is done for the year.
The last person to beat the team that they're facing was Nick Foles.
So, that sucks for them, sucks for Bo Nix, and sucks for the Broncos. You'll get a home game, but you're going to get your ass beat by the Patriots, because the Patriots beat the Texans in pretty convincing fashion, all things considered. It was a close game for a little bit, but the weather was awful, and C.J. Stroud threw 4 interceptions, and the Patriots pulled away at the end, despite also having a good amount of turnovers. A very sloppy game of football, but the Patriots prevailed. So it'll be Patriots versus Broncos in the AFC Championship, a renewed rivalry coming to head there. In the NFC, the Seahawks absolutely destroyed the 49ers. I think it was like 34-6 or something like that. 49ers had like 2 competent offensive players, so that isn't much of a surprise. But what was surprising was the outcome of the other game, as the Rams beat the Bears in overtime, 20-17. So it will be an NFC West Super Bowl champion, or Super Bowl representative, confirmed, because the Bears are the last team. Everyone's like, oh, they got screwed. Oh, they played great, but they got screwed. Now, Bears played like shit. They should have beaten the Rams. Rams were in the cold tundra. Rams were. Should have beaten them handily. Caleb Williams played like dog shit. Through several crucial interceptions. And they were very ineffective on offense for the majority of the game. Let's go back to the first drive the Bears had in the game. They were down well into Rams territory. And on a 4th and 1, they decided to go for it. And Caleb Williams got hit on the play and incomplete. Actually, no, he threw a pick. That's right, he threw a pick. And guess what? If they had taken the field goal, they would have won the game. Sucks to suck. Now you know how it feels to be me as a Dan Campbell fan. So that was that. So it's going to be, again, Broncos-Patriots in the AFC Championship in Denver. And it'll be Seahawks and Rams for the 3rd time this season as the NFC Championship match in Seattle. So should be a good one there. Should be a good couple of games there for sure. Well, one good game. One, probably not good game. So a lot of things have happened, coaching-wise as well. After the playoff loss, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, Mike Tomlin stepped down as Steelers head coach. After 19 seasons, he was one of the longest, I think the longest tenured NFL coach at their current at one team. Very, very surprising, considering he still was getting them playoff appearances and winning records, but he stepped down himself. He probably was tired of the scrutiny. He was probably tired of it all, the operations. So, sayonara, Mike Tomlin. He has yet to be picked up by a new team. But I'd be surprised if no team tries to pick him up. Unless he is flat out retiring and just doesn't want to be coaching anymore. But he didn't come out and say that when he stepped down. He kind of just said he's stepping down. So we'll see. And then the other coach departure, the Bills, right after their playoff loss to the Broncos, fired Sean McDermott. This should not be a big surprise. The Bills beat themselves in that game. They've been beating themselves year after year in the playoffs. So it should not be a surprise that they are trying to get away from that and change their coaching scheme. But nobody wants to talk about the fact that it's actually Josh Allen who's the issue. So we'll see who the Bills bring in there. As far as some hires, there's been a couple hires as well. The New York Giants hired John Harbaugh. So John Harbaugh is off the market. He's going to the Giants. He will suck because the Giants suck. But staying in the East Coast, not super surprising. Not super surprising that he's going from the AFC to the NFC as well. I'm not super surprised about that. I figured he was either going to stay in the AFC North or go over to the NFC, so I'm not surprised. And then the Falcons got their next head coach, and it is Kevin Stefanski, who was recently just fired from the Browns. Will that fix the issues with Atlanta? Probably not, but it's a solid, pretty reputable coach, hopefully to find a little bit of stability. And then the Dolphins also got their next head coach. They are hiring the former Packers defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley. What a great hire. totally will be better than Mike McDaniel. Said nobody ever. And then the Lions had a hiring as well. They got a new offensive coordinator. It's going to be Drew Petzing. You want to know what team Drew Petzing is coming from? Offensive coordinator genius. The Cardinals. Yep, that's right, folks. We got rid of John Morton, longtime Lion, in favor of a guy from the Arizona Cardinals who have probably the top 5 worst offense in the league, only behind probably the Browns and the Jets. Totally, Dan Campbell will totally not be taking over play calling duties again by week 5. You can bet your ass on that. Great hire, Brad Holmes. You couldn't go after Mike McDaniel. It would have been a much better hire. Starting to not like you now. The bad drafting and the bad hires. That was that. The only other NFL news that I had, the Commanders unveiled their new plans for design for their new stadium, which is going to be I don't know if it's a renovated or torn down and rebuilt version of RFK Stadium in downtown DC. That's expected to be open by 2030 and looks really, really nice. But the big controversy is that it is a domed stadium. So by the time that this stadium opens, along with a lot of other new stadiums or renovation projects that are going on, like Tennessee, Jacksonville, Cleveland, Buffalo, all these teams that are getting new or heavily renovated stadiums, the majority of the league will be domed by the time we hit the time of this new Washington Stadium opening up, which is bringing a lot of controversy. People are not very happy about that. But I think just take a look at the Texans-Patriots game that happened this past weekend and tell me why you think teams should still opt to want to play outdoors when the Texans wasn't the reason why the Texans lost that game, but if it was an indoor game, I think it would have been a much closer, not as sloppy affair, and we don't want that in the playoffs. Outdoor football is awesome. I can see where people are coming from. I can see where people are coming from for wanting dome stadiums. But it's not necessarily about the on-field product that these teams want. It's the fact that they want other things. They want money, and money comes from having an air-controlled domed stadium. They can get the Final Four. They can get college football national championship. They can get concerts. They can get all this sort of stuff from that, and it's huge revenue generating to also give more of a return on investment. So I'm not surprised about that, and nobody really should be. Money is the only factor here. It's not the biggest factor. It's literally the only factor here. So they're going to want ways to generate more money. My opinion as well, as long as the stadiums look nice, I don't mind if they're indoor. And I think some of them, like we see with like the Colts Stadium, the Rams Stadium, kind of, where they have that, it has a roof on it, but they have more of, still they can still let like natural light and air in, like opening windows or having like more open air but roofed concept to it. Now I don't think that's kind of what they're doing for the Bills Stadium. That one's not going to be roofed. The Browns one will. The new Bears Stadium will. They will have the Jacksonville one's going to get a roof. The Tennessee one's going to have a roof. The Commanders one's going to have a roof. But maybe they'll introduce some of those open air concepts too. Maybe like retractables, so you have maybe retractable roofs are very expensive, but that would be another way to solve it. You know what I'm saying? That is all of the football talk that I had. Garry did have something, but we will come back to that. Because I don't know where he is. I don't know if he's coming back. That would suck. So, we'll talk about basketball though. Real quick. MSU men's action. They rose up to the top 10 again in the AP poll this week after beating Indiana 81-60, and then going on the road to beat Washington 82-63. We will talk about their game coming up against Oregon in the next episode, and then they'll return home for Maryland. Playing some really good basketball, and really, really nice to see. Jeremy Fears playing really, really well. Denim Wojcik even finally got some points. It's kind of justifying why he's getting all this playing time. But I'm not fully sold on that fact yet. But what I am sold on is that they are playing some really, really good basketball. And if they can beat Oregon, then they'll come home, have a good game, more easier opponent against Maryland. Then they hit the real gauntlet of their schedule. They've got Michigan still twice. They've got Purdue on the road. So it's going to be a tough battle for them, but I think they can pull it off. I really have a lot of faith in this team right now to get a really, really good spot. Problem is, Big Ten's really, really good this year. They're still, I think, 4th in the conference, despite being a lot better than that. They might not even get a double bye in the Big Ten tournament, despite having only one conference loss. That's because Nebraska's undefeated. Michigan's doing really, really good. Purdue's doing really, really good. And unfortunately, I don't see them beating Purdue on the road. And they already lost to Nebraska, so it sucks. But what are you going to do? The women's team, on the other hand, they also moved a couple spots in the AP poll. They're up to number 13. They beat Nebraska 73-71, a very, very tight affair where MSU got a couple good calls down the stretch to sink some free throws to win the game. They won on 4 straight free throws. Then they took their efforts on the road against number 11 ranked Iowa. Well, Nebraska was also a ranked win. They were 24. Iowa was number 11 during their matchup. And the game was pretty much decided that it was going to be an Iowa win in the first quarter because all of our best players got some heinous foul calls against them and had to sit most of the game on the bench as a result. And Iowa took advantage of that. And despite a late MSU rally, they couldn't do enough. Iowa won 75-68. Breaks a 9-game winning streak for MSU. But they still rose a couple spots in the AP poll. They're up to 13. They're 17-2. Playing some really good basketball, but again, they might not even be a top 5 seed in the Big Ten tournament because they lost to Wisconsin. That was a terrible loss. They lost to Iowa. That's going to kill them in tiebreaker. They have Ohio State coming up. They're probably not going to win that. Maryland could go either way. They have 2 games against Michigan. They're going to probably split that at best. They're not going to beat UCLA. So I still predict 23-6 for MSU coming down the stretch here. With a lot of tough games. But if they can pull off some of those upset wins, could see them as maybe a little bit of a contender here. I really liked Robin Freilich and what she's been able to do with this team, getting off to their best start in program history at 17-1. It's very, very impressive. Love watching them play, especially even with the injuries, and they're still playing at this tough level. I really, really like that. For the Pistons, who play tonight at the time of recording this, we will talk about that upcoming game next week. We're trying to record on Tuesdays, guys. I know it's a little complicated. We might end up just moving upload dates to Tuesdays because we keep recording on Mondays because I'm always fucking busy on Tuesdays. Sorry. But recent actions, the Pistons held on for victory against the Suns, 108-105. This is without Devin Booker on the court, so that's a very, very scary win for the Pistons, but they pulled it off. So that is that. And then they absolutely demolished the Pacers at home, 121-78. So they're in the midst of their homestand right now. 2 big wins there. They're 30-10. Their best start in a long, long time. They're playing some really, really good basketball. Got a lot of guys coming back from injury, which is going to help their depth. They're playing some, again, really, really, really awesome basketball, and I love it. Other NCAA action. There was one big upset that I wanted to note. Cincinnati upset what was then number 2 ranked Iowa State, 79-70. Iowa State, as a result of now back-to-back losses, has plummeted 7 spots at the AP poll, so they're 9th now instead of 2nd. Still a big upset that I wanted to touch on, though, so I just wanted to mention that. But the other big thing that happened was another gambling scandal, because you know that rule promoting gambling is about to take effect, so they're gonna keep firing everybody. 17 players across multiple schools were charged in a point shaving scheme that ran from 2022 to 2025. And I mean, it's really not anything that we haven't seen before. They were doing it to gamble. They were doing it to make money, rigging games, the NCAA and Chinese basketball. So a lot of people were fucked over. Multiple schools were involved in this. Want to name a couple. Eastern Michigan was named. Western Michigan was named. And a lot of other... And it wasn't any big schools. It was like a lot of MAC schools were involved. A lot of... Some D2 schools were involved, I think. So a lot of smaller schools were involved. But it is still pretty big. Because people still bet on those small games. So... Seems like this one's a lot more clear-cut and dry of a situation, though, than some of the other gambling schemes that have come to light. So they seem to have taken care of it. There hasn't been really many updates since the first news dropped. Didn't want to touch on it, though. That's what I had there. For the NBA action, other NBA action... the starting rosters got revealed for the All-Star game. So the starting 5 for the East and the West. Let me see if I can pull it up. Where is it? Oh, jeez. I found it. All right. So the Western Conference starters... Luka Doncic, should not be surprised. Steph Curry, also not surprising. SGA, not surprising. Jokic, not surprising. And Wemby. No surprises there at all. Maybe Wemby's a starter. Maybe a little but not really. I could see it. And then the starters in the East... Tyrese Maxey. Don't know who that is. But he plays for the 76ers, so they're pretty much grandfathered in to have somebody in the All-Star roster, because fuck them. Jalen Brunson, fuck off. Jaylen Brown of the Celtics, also an iffy choice for a starter. Giannis, not surprising. And Cade Cunningham. Let's go. So really only 2 deserving players on the starting roster of the All-Star game there for the East. Cade and Giannis. Great. Shows it's probably going to be another Western Conference NBA champion again. Woohoo! Oh, here's the voting results. So Jokic got the most votes overall. Then Luka, SGA, Steph, and then Wemby. Coming up close was Anthony Edwards, Denny Avdija, Portland, Kevin Durant, LeBron, and Kawhi Leonard. And then in the East, the rankings were Giannis, Cade, let's go. That's a really high ranking for Cade. I love that. Tyrese Maxey, again, I don't know who the fuck that is. Brunson, get the fuck out of here. Jaylen Brown. Barely left out was Donovan Mitchell. Karl Anthony Towns, fuck off. Jalen Johnson, no idea why he's on here. Michael Porter Jr., get the fuck out of here. And Brandon Ingram, again, don't know who that is. So that's all-star stuff. And that's really all the basketball action that I had to go over. Garry, I don't know if you've got anything. I know you have a football thing, so we can pivot back to that now that you're here.
Yeah, I had to do some stuff. So, for people that like flag football, the University of Nebraska will add women's flag football as a varsity sport. And the Cornhuskers are the first Power 4 program to introduce flag football at the varsity level. Which will mean, who knows, maybe other Big Ten schools will join in, like Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, all these other teams, and we could actually have an interesting season other than just watching Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon destroying football.
That would be lovely. I love women, so we'll step up and support women in their endeavors.
There's that. Basketball, I don't have anything.
All right. Well, we'll move on to hockey.
I definitely have stuff.
Got a good amount of hockey stuff to go over for sure. Start off the MSU hockey action. Had some very sad news come to light today. Dan Sturgis, the director of operations for MSU hockey, unexpectedly passed away today. He was only 41. So rest in peace. Rest in peace, Dan Sturgis. It really sucks. I hope MSU can pull off a national championship with this core for you, because he did a lot of great stuff for him. Before that was a great weekend, though, as they went on the road and swept the number 2 team in the country, Wisconsin. They beat them 4-3 in the first game, and then 4-1 in the second game. Did it for Dan. So that was MSU hockey action. The Red Wings are on a good streak right now, too. They beat the Hurricanes 4-3 in overtime. Then they lost to Boston 3-0.
Great.
But then they rebounded to beat the Sharks 4-2. And then they beat the Senators 4-3 in overtime.
Usual. Senators suck.
So the Red Wings are also 230 wins this season, just like the Pistons. So very, very good stuff there. Been playing some very exciting action there at LCA. Hopefully, both teams can keep it up. Concerning thing for the Red Wings is that the Lightning are on a massive winning streak, and the Lightning have 3 extra games left in the Red Wings. So an Atlantic Division title is probably not in the calling card for the Red Wings, but a playoff spot is still very much a possibility. If they can keep winning, they are solidly in a playoff spot. So really, really good stuff there. That's all the hockey news I had. I'll let Garry take it over for some of the updated K-Wings action.
Okay, so on here, I have not put up the standings yet because I forgot to. So I have the standings right next to me, ready to go. So first, let me tell you what happened in this season. On the 15th, the Kalamazoo Wings sweep Iowa, and that's the first sweep of 2026 and the first 3-game series or 3-win streak of 2026. So, congratulations, the Kalamazoo Wings. But then right after that, the next day, they lose to Indy 4-1. Typical.
Gracious, I know, very gracious.
But then guess what? They decided, you know what? We're not going down without a fight. They go up against I don't remember. I didn't put up who they faced. Hold on a second. Let me look this up. This was the 17th. Okay, so then they went up against the Fuel again, and this time they flopped it. The K-Wings beat the Fuel 3-2. And in that 5-game, or in the last 5 games that they played, they had a 4-1 record. Well, now, today, after they finished their game, they won against the Cincinnati Cyclones, who are right above them in the standings to possibly make the playoffs. They beat them 6-5 in Cincinnati. Now they are 5-1 in their last 6. This is where it gets tricky. Their next series is the Toledo series. Which one of those Toledo series
is that the one we're going to?
One of the Toledo series is the one we'll be in. Literally, it starts Monday, January 19th. So they get a full week off because of the All-Star game. Then they go up against them Friday, January 23rd. Friday, January 23rd is the first game. Then Saturday, January 24th is the next game. Then the 30th. And then the 31st. So they go from Huntington Center, then Wings Event Center, then another Wings Event Center, and then Huntington Center, which we will be at the Huntington Center at the 31st. So,
that's right, baby.
Hopefully, and this is a very hopefully because I have a strong feeling we're just going to get swept. Hopefully, we sweep them. Because once I tell you the standings, you'll know why I hope. Let's look at the standings, shall we? Oh, look who's first place with 21-8. That's Toledo. So, right now, the Fuel have not played yet. I think. No, they did play. Sorry, my bad. Okay. Soon or later, Cincinnati is still 1 point ahead of us. So, at least we got it close. But anyways, here are the standings. Toledo is first. Second is the Comets of Fort Wayne. Then Bloomington again is third. Indiana is fourth. So that would be the playoff for this side. Then the people that are in the running would be Cincinnati and Kalamazoo. Iowa right now could have a shot if they were to keep winning. But right now it doesn't look like they're going to because they have 22 points and the person in front of them, Kalamazoo, have 34 points. Again, still lots of season left. We're still on the All-Star break. So you never know what could happen there. But Kalamazoo is getting there. We just have to keep winning. Hopefully we make the playoffs either this year or next year, because if we do it next year, then it would be the last time at the Barn.
Interesting. That was all that. We did have one more hockey thing, though, because we just recently went on a little trip. We saw some USHL action. The United States Hockey League. We saw the Muskegon Lumberjacks play the Youngstown Phantoms. I didn't give a shit about either of these teams, but it was a hangout where everybody was happy because we all like hockey. So I wasn't going to say no. Garry was there too. The vlog of that came out a couple days ago now, so you can go check that out, see our experience. And there'll be a stadium review of the arena, Trinity Health Arena, coming out soon. I will say it was a very beautiful arena. Very, very modern looking. Was a really, really nice experience. Fairly comfortable seats, very comfortable environment. It was crowded, but not super, super crowded. It wasn't a complete sellout, but it was close. But it's not a very big arena. There's plenty of room for people to walk around. So overall, we had a really, really good time. Even though Muskegon lost 5-4 in a shootout, in a game that took egregiously long, over 3 hours. Now it is with overtime and a shootout. But do we need multiple media timeouts every period? Do we need that in a USHL game? No. No, we don't. No, we don't, people. No, we don't need that. So that was the more piss-off part, was that. But overall, still really fun time. We'll point out Jeffy got food poisoning from the pretzel at the concession stands. More so the cheese of the pretzel instead of the pretzel itself, we believe. We'll never know for sure, but won't go too much into detail how that went down, but was not fun.
Let's just remember, guys, we're not going to tell him to have a pretzel in Toledo.
I don't think we are going to need to. I don't think we're going to need to tell him to not get a pretzel, because he's going with us to Toledo, and then 2 weeks after Toledo, we're going to see Ferris State's arena. We're going there on Valentine's Day because all three of us are lonely, and we need something to do on Valentine's Day. Fucking hate Valentine's Day. Anyways, we're going to see them play Northern Michigan at their arena, so we're going to be doing that. Jeffy will be there for that. He will not be getting a pretzel there either.
And if he tries to say he is, we're going to say no.
Nope.
And we'll just say, remember Muskegon. All we have to do is say, remember Muskegon.
Nope, you will be getting a hot dog or you will be getting a beer. That is it. So, I'm not going to go too much into other stadium details. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about with this arena. It's a very beautiful arena, though. There's a restaurant in it. So I would recommend, and it wasn't relatively super expensive. I think we had seats on the glass. I think it was like $23 after fees. Not bad at all. So if you're ever in the area and you're a hockey fan, go check this arena out. I think you'll really enjoy it. What are your thoughts, Garry? What did you say?
Jesus. I think it was good. One, it was big, of course, bigger than K-Wings.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was, just because of the fact that you don't see the K-Wings have what they had, which was little box seats where you had food that you could have in your own box seats.
They did have a lot of club areas.
Think of baseball. You know how you could go in and you have your own room? Well, that's how it was there. And it was like, what?
Yeah, there was a lot of club seating options, which was bizarre. but the food in those club areas looked really good. I wonder how much it would be cost to get one of those. I wonder, but
Probably a lot, to be honest, because they had their names on that door.
they did. But yeah, there was a lot of club seating options. There's not really an upper deck here either. It's a fairly small arena. I'd say it was about maybe a little seating capacity wise. I'd say it's a little smaller than the K Wings arena, though. I'd say.
Then again, the K Wings Arena is getting upgraded. So, talk about it in 2 more years and tell us how it is.
True. Other than that, that's all the hockey action we had to talk about. I'm going to skip baseball because we're going to go a little bit more. Oh, no, Garry has something.
I meant to say for one of the things, other ECHL thing, there's a guy that was suspended for 12 games and fined against Fort Wayne. Now, this was on January 11th, so this was way back. Nico Blackman, or Blackman, I don't know how you say his name, but anyways, he was fined, suspended for 5 games under rule number 28, I can't talk today. Supplementary discipline as the result of his major penalty and the game misconduct for boarding at 17:02 of the first period against Toledo. Now, listen to this. He's already missed some of these games, so I'm going to say the dates. He will miss Fort Wayne's games against, at the time, that night, January 14th against Indy, Bloomington, January 16th and 17th, against Indy again on January 23rd, against Cincinnati on January 24th, against Wheeling, January 25th, against Cincinnati, January 30th, against Tahoe, January 31st and the 1st, at Wheeling, February 4th, against Iowa, February 6th, and against Toledo again at February 7th. This man must have done something to get suspended for 12 games. I have to look more into it, and I have to look back at the thing that he did on January 11th, because I need to know what this man did.
I'm assuming that he probably fought a ref for, had an egregious hit or something, based on what the little snippet of the article you put in here says.
It probably was. And let's be honest, guys. I'm going to say this right now. The refs may suck. Okay? I may hate the refs so much in Kalamazoo. But let's be honest here. Okay? Never touch a ref. It will come to bite you in your ass. Okay? And then one more thing about the ECHL, which really, really is interesting. There's a new ECHL team.
Oh, it's a team. I thought it was a player.
The third ECHL team in 3 years. First, it was the Bison. Then, it was the Greensboro Gargoyles.
What a name.
Now it's the Trenton Ironhawks. So New Jersey will have their own minor league hockey team. Do I know what team they're going to be in? No. But guess what? That's when we find out.
That's exciting, I think. We should go. We should go to their inaugural game of their inaugural ECHL season.
No, we shouldn't.
That's cool. So now that's all the hockey action that we had to talk about. Forgot about those. Sorry. We're going to skip baseball real quick because there's a bigger topic with baseball that I want to get into because it is relevant and I want to get rid of it now. We'll get back to that in a second. Nothing really else to talk about. Do have a little bit of NASCAR news, though. Tony Stewart announced he's going to be running the truck race at Daytona. Let's go. Tony Stewart returning. It's very, very exciting. More truck news. Cole Butcher is going to be going to Thor Sport in their truck campaign. So that's very very cool. And apparently as well, $30,000 was stolen from Greg Biffle's estate after his death. So the person who did that, you deserve to be put in a special place that is even worse than hell. The fuck are you doing? Now, death's not good enough. Death is not good enough. Eternal hell and punishment for you. Fuck you. Absolute fuck you. So that's all of the other sports NASCAR stuff that I had to talk about. It's been a little slow in that regard over the last week. But there is one big topic that I wanted to touch on to end off today's episode, and it is salary cap and lockout drama. I've had this on here as a topic for a few months now, but I thought today would be a good time to talk about it because of the recent news of the Dodgers picking up Kyle Tucker in free agency. The hottest player on the free agency market by far, and out of all teams to pick him up was the Dodgers.
And didn't they pick up another guy?
I didn't see another guy. They probably did, though.
What was his name? He used to play for Boston.
I didn't see that, no. But I wanted to talk about this because I think a lot of people are very set on the fact that there will be a lockout in 2027. And that's not surprising. I mean, the Dodgers are literally paying Shohei Ohtani $1 billion, and they still had room to pick up Kyle Tucker in free agency, plus all the other guys that they had gotten before him. They literally have an unbeatable team. And they are literally exploiting the fact that there's no salary cap and they can, offload these payments for decades upon decades just so they can get whoever they want at whatever price. So I was like, so the MLB, without a doubt now, is going to impose a salary cap. And when they do, players will lock out because they want big contracts. And there's really two perspectives to look on this. A, players want to get paid. They want to get paid for what they think they're worth. Obviously, everybody wants to be paid. But two, you can't keep being able to offload billion-dollar contracts over 50 fucking years just so you can get whoever the fuck you want. Because here's what the deal is. If you keep doing that, then the only teams that are ever going to be successful in the MLB are going to be the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees. Because they're the only three teams that can afford contracts that high for that much. And they will only ever be the three teams. There will be no parity in the MLB anymore. So obviously, higher-ups in the MLB are looking at that as a move to keep parity. But on the other hand, owners can pay. There's a lot of cheap owners out there that definitely could pay their players more. They could have signed to keep Kyle Tucker. They could have, signed. I mean, there's literally the prime example of this is Tarek Skubal. Chris Ilitch does not want to pay Tarek Skubal. Now, it does look like, due to the arbitration thing, that looks like they are going to re-sign Tarek Skubal. Thank God. Not 100% sold on that, but it's leaning towards that finally. Even so, though, look at all that had to happen just to fucking re-sign Tarek Skubal. Pizza Man's got money to fucking pay Tarek Skubal, and they're not fucking doing it because he's cheap ass. Or how about the Pirates owner? The Pirates owner is even worse. They can't hold talent work for shit because the guy has a lowest fucking payroll in the MLB because he wants to pocket all the fucking revenue. So, my thing is, I'm 100% on board with the salary cap. I am. But I'm also on board with maybe the MLB stepping in and having a salary floor as well. So that way, owners are forced to pay players at least mostly what they're worth. You're not going to have the billion-dollar mega contracts, but they're not going to be cheap asses either. Right? That way, the cheap owners are forced to pay players more money. Maybe they'll get them more drive to get better players to improve their teams and increase parity in the league. And it'll stop the big teams from fucking making a fucking monopoly like the Dodgers already have. So I'm in full support of that. They're not going to do a salary floor because MLB owners are fucking paying the executives enough so that they can just save fucking money. It's like people donating money so that they can get more write-offs from taxes and end up saving fucking money. That's what they're doing. So they won't do that, but, you know, man can dream. But that's not going to stop the players from wanting, because at the end of the day, all the players want to do is they want to get paid. They want to be winning championships and getting paid. They don't care how it happens, right? So when their chances at making money is stunted is the word I was looking for, stunted, they're going to throw a fucking fit about it, and they're going to do a lockout. So at this point, unfortunately, it does look inevitable, and that sucks. Now, maybe if Skubal does end up getting this big contract for the Tigers and staying with the Tigers, maybe that'll give that should show some hope that it can be done, and maybe that'll prevent the lockout. There's going to be, I mean, especially as the season goes on, there's going to be a lot of talk about what to do as far as trying to prevent a lockout, because obviously the MLB doesn't want a lockout. It's a huge loss in revenue for them. It's a huge loss in revenue for the teams. It's a huge loss for the fans, losing a whole fucking season. They don't want that. For me and Garry, that's loss of job, because a lockout does not affect just the big teams. It affects all the minor league affiliates too. So they wouldn't have a season.
The center stage front camera to be
Especially when our job has a 30th anniversary.
Well, it wouldn't be. Well, it's not going to be this year. They're still going to do that. I'm talking about this lockout would happen not this season, but next season, 2027. So it'd be their 31st season would be affected. I hate it. And the thing is that the MLB is a little late on this. They needed to have a salary cap a long time ago. They needed way before the Shohei Ohtanis come along, way before sports betting was a thing. They needed to get ahead of this. They needed to do what the NFL did, because now like with, take it like college, like with NIL shit, you've opened a Pandora's box. In the MLB's case, it's going to be a little easier to close, but it's still going to be a tough time to close it, because now players can see what they can be paid and want to be paid that. And teams like the Dodgers are exploiting it. The Dodgers, as much as I hate them, are playing a fair system here. They're playing the system well and using their resources and their big brains, knowledgeable. They're winning championships, and they are going to be setting these players for life while not losing a ton, not going into billions of dollars of debt with it. So my thoughts again are, owners need to stop being cheap asses, and MLB owners need to just step their foot down and put a salary cap, but also a salary floor. That's my thoughts on it. Fuck you, Dodgers. Fuck you, Chris Ilitch. Fuck you, Shohei Ohtani. That's my thoughts. I don't know what else, other thoughts you want to throw in there, Gary. Throw in the soup pile.
Everything you said was exactly what I was going to say. 100%.
So, might be fucked. See. But anyways, guys, that's all I've got for this week. Gary, I don't know if you had anything else to talk about.
No, I do not. Hold on a second. I want to double check to see if I missed anything. No. Nothing.
No. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Live, Laugh, Left. As always, for every event you ever attend, whether with us or without us, make sure to always log your events at sportslogbook.com. I know me and Gary just logged the event that we just went to. And we're going to keep logging. So make sure to do that. But anyways, guys, otherwise, it's going to do it for this week's episode. Next week, we will talk about the national championship game. We'll talk about the who made the Super Bowl. We'll talk about all other awesome action that comes our way. So it should be a lot of fun.
Who won the college football championship?
So, that's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned for much more amazing content, including stuff on the Pringleson YouTube channel. And until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.